You're not really saying that music can kill, are you?
Yes, I am.
Music can be a very powerful thing. Nothing galvanizes the emotions as quickly.
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a real good time together because we get to talk to John McCutcheon for, I think, the fourth time, I believe.
Definitely at least the third, but it might be the fourth.
Fourth or fifth. And he brought along his pal Tom Paxton, which,
who we love.
come now. Like, that's a twofer you can't beat with a stick.
Right.
They have another fun... Sorry, I cut you off.
No, why would we want to? That's a terrible phrase.
What, beat them with sticks?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have somebody else beaten with sticks.
Yeah, they're definitely not coming back again.
No. But they have a really great second album of their Zoom collaborations. Mm-hmm. And we texted about this a little bit last night, but I feel like it needs a little bit of a more acknowledgement. Diamond Dave is re-entering the arena.
Indeed, he is.
It's interesting because I keep seeing announcements of tours that are upcoming, and I say to myself, didn't they retire? And then I go and Google and like, well, they did. So there is the folks like the Crew who are like, we're signing an oath in blood, we're never doing this again, or Your Kiss, 20 years ago. But it's interesting. So the two I've most recently listened, or I guess three, Cyndi Lauper, Devo, and the B-52s, all were like, we're done, we're going out. And they've had such a response. They're like, I guess we'll keep going. Like, people want this. And it doesn't seem like a money-making scheme on their end. And I don't know if it's because it's the band or what.
They're just having fun.
Yeah. And then Little Feat, they have announced that they are retiring. Mm-hmm. I believe there's only one original member on that. Friend of the show, of course, Scott Sherrard.
Yes.
But they've even said, like, this is going to be a long wind down. It'll be a years-long process.
Right.
So,
well, and if you're going to do that, that is how you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, give me a watch and throw me a party and I'm done.
Right. So, I mean, in many ways, I feel like, great, I have another chance to see Devo and the B-52s and Cyndi and all of these bands. Like, wonderful, I will take it.
I'm on my 13th cup of coffee, lighting my second bad cigar. And the bottom of this bottle just won't tell me where you are. I ate a 32-ounce T-bone, my cholesterol's through.
We're gathered here today to discuss album number 2, Together Again. Which, good title.
And to discuss Together Again.
Exactly.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here.
Yes.
True love.
Yes.
So this record very nicely picks up where the first one left off. Were these songs, I know the two of you have been writing together for a while now. Were these songs, was it a batch of new material that you kind of decided to do for album number 2, or was this sifting through some of the older ones and going, this one's good, let's take this?
I think it's we drew from the pile of songs that were available and that we were continuing to write. We write as the song goes every Monday at 2. We get together, schedules permitting, and my schedule's wide open now that I'm not on the road anymore. And we just drew from the best of what we had available, which was a lot of songs.
Well, as keeper of the demos, I think that the only song that was written when the first album came out was Cheating While I'm Eating.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I remember that being in the mix then, and I don't think we got it then. Um, but everything else on this album was written after the first album.
That one's one of my favorites. We were just talking about that before you came on. I love that song.
It was a song waiting to be written.
Yeah, it makes sense.
A song we had, shall we say, lived.
I think we've all lived it at this point.
And it's interesting, since then, Tom and I were talking about this the other day, that one of the ways we spend, and I think it even says so in the song, Every Monday at 2, is we're both big sports fans. And that is not a prevalent condition in the folk music world for some weird reason. And so we wrote a song after talking about our respective teams. Tom lives in the Washington, D.C. area, and he, of course, follows the Washington Custodians. And I grew up in Wisconsin. So, I'm living proof that you'll never hear, yeah, I used to be a Packers fan. And so we wrote this song, and we were saying, oh, we can't have these conversations with any of our pals. And so we wrote a song that went, I'm woke all week till the weekend.
I love it.
It's interesting because I had my kids even with the Washington football team and the Cleveland baseball team. And then we get to the Chicago hockey team, and I have had them look at me and say, so why is that one okay? And trying to be like, I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure.
Well, Redskins was an easy call.
Yes. And I think you could argue even Cleveland was an easy call. If we're changing the terminology.
Yeah. Here in the land of the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, another one.
Yeah.
But you know what? I went from age 10 till I left for the Army. I lived in Oklahoma, and in my classes at school, we had many Indian or Native Americans in our. And I asked my friend Jerry one day, what do you guys call yourselves? He said, Indians. And I thought, and I still think, well, if they call themselves Indians, what's wrong with calling someone Indian?
Well, you do stray into the area when you talk to your black friends and say, what do you call one another?
Yeah,
yes, good
that's
point.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, let's shift to less.
The album.
Yes. It's something I noticed. I don't know why, it was just sort of on my mind and listening to the record. A lot of the songs are written in first person, yet not every song is written from your perspective.
Right.
And is that a conversation that you two of you have when you start writing? Because obviously the idea of creating a character in your mind, the baseball song, Famous for a Day. As far as I know, neither one of you played professional ball. But you have this character that you create and this story that you're telling. Where does that come into the story writing of the song as you're telling this tale? Was it something where you guys are going, well, let's write about a ball player, or I want to write this in the first person about growing up watching baseball, or whatever your experiences were?
Well, for me, writing in the first person is something I just kind of naturally do. It's my first choice. It's more for me, more immediate, more communicative to write as one person to another. And as you correctly point out, the first person is almost never Tom Paxton.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, I can only think of one or two occasions when it has been. It just seemed, I think, holding the mirror up to nature, as Shakespeare tells us to do, you, you're looking at another individual, and you're looking at that person as an individual. So it's not even an argument for me. It's just the automatic is to write in the first person. I tell my students, pick up a newspaper, find something in that paper that moves you to any emotion. I mean, any emotion at all, and then write a song from the point of view of either an eyewitness to the event or a participant in the event, and including the protagonist of the event, and use the first person, write as that person. And the first thing you'll do with that is get away from writing yet another relationship song, God help us. Uh, and the other thing you'll be doing is you'll be documenting the times you live in.
Mhm.
And I this is almost never a conversation when we're writing. I think our Tom and I share the instinct of writing in the first person. And then, whenever I write with someone or by myself, the first two questions I always ask is, what is the story of this song and who's telling this story? It can be, as Tom said, the protagonist, or it can be a witness to this, or someone who's thinking about it. In this particular song that you brought up, we didn't make this up. This actually happened.
Mm.
I read this at MLB.com, which should tell you how much free time I have. And it was a story of this guy, Ron Nakai, who in 1952, as the song says, struck out 27 batters. And you don't have to be a baseball fan to know that's all 3 outs in all 9 innings. And in fact, and that had never been done. And in fact, the last batter reached first base on a pass ball, because what your non-baseball fans might not realize is if a strike 3 gets past the catcher, the batter can attempt to run to first base, and if they get there successfully, they're safe. So Ron Nakai said, "Oh hell, I guess I have to strike out one more person," and it was the one day of his life that made him famous in some way. It's never been done in major league or minor league history. He was called up, didn't do well in the majors, and went to Korea, messed up his shoulder, came home, and that was it. And when I contacted him, it was like, oh my gosh, how'd you hear about me? And he's a very funny guy. He's in his 90s now, as you might suspect. But Artie's Last Stand, for instance, we just made up the name, and we wanted to talk about the change of the times because we are both old newspaper lovers, and how people get their information or misinformation today. So each of these songs were, we didn't, we made up the characters in the Rebel Gal, and the the Last Man Sitting, that was taken from a newspaper story I read in my local newspaper. And it's how it happens. Our instinct is to do first person, but we always want to tell a story. It's very engaging. It's like you're having a conversation. I'm talking to you, the listener. It's very intimate.
It changes everything. It literally changes the whole experience.
Woody Guthrie did this all the time. The Ludlow mining massacre, where the Colorado National Guard massacred a bunch of striking miners. Woody wasn't there, although he is in the song.
Yeah, or the 1913 massacre, come
Yeah.
take a trip with me to
Yeah.
1913. It was
Yeah.
it was like, it's not only conversational, it's come with me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid hearing the beginning of the next verse, I'll take you through a door and up a high stair. And I was right there. I knew what that door looked like. I knew what the stairway was. I was in the middle of that movie, and it was, no song had ever done that to me. I
Right.
saw her standing there, didn't,
Right.
Yeah.
it didn't do the same thing for me.
As I rode out one morning,
Yeah.
And
I saw.
as you say, do re mi is it's all I. It's all
Yeah.
Yeah.
so. Does that mean, or should I infer then that Old Dog is not about a particular dog, or is there
Correct.
one that you have in your mind that?
Thank God.
In our mind.
Well, the name comes from that dog in my life.
Mm.
But as far as the stuff that happened, we just made it up. And that almost more than any other song on the album surprised me, because when I have some pals who are just good old country boys living up in North Georgia. When I go out to my cabin, we go to a cigar bar and commune. And they said, "Well, what are you writing? And I played them Old Dog, and they just both lost it.
Oh yeah.
And our recording engineer
Yep.
was crying by the end of that song, and
Nothing will bring a big burly guy to his knees.
yeah,
Puppy song.
Good dog.
and
Good dog.
I got my wife a birthday card that had a picture of a dog sitting on a psychiatrist's couch saying, "Sometimes I just don't feel like a good dog." But it's proof that you unlock some stuff that you don't expect. We didn't expect that song. We didn't expect Sergeant O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, we weren't even done writing Rebel Gal until the recording session was half through. And every now and again, you just say, "Oh, this feels like it belongs. It feels like it does its job," which is the best you can hope for in a song.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's an element of surprise in these when you're writing them, that they come to you and the way they
Oh,
come.
they do. Yes, they very often surprise us. It's like a novelist's characters taking over the novel and going their own way. Sometimes these songs are completely surprise us.
Well, and
Is that
that's the fun about it, and I think it's what makes our teamwork really teamwork, is that we both have passed that mile marker that a good writer, I'm not saying we're good writers, but yeah, we're good writers.
yeah, right?
That
You've
when
done
all of
okay.
a sudden you can create characters that you surrender the story to. They're real. They've got their own personality. They're ornery. They turn left when you say you should turn right, and it surprises you. There's so many songs in this album. The surprise, sort of 3/4 of the way through, "I Ran Away with the Circus," or at the end of Sergeant O'Reilly. It's I love writing with Tom for that reason. That we both have this kind of playful, because it is called playing music. This kind of playful attitude toward, well, what if? Yeah, maybe this sounds like a standard love song, but maybe it's the kid going to school and you have to let them go. We love doing stuff like that.
I was thinking of the E.M. Forrester line about why he stopped writing was because he started writing a new novel, described this train station, put all these characters in the train station. They all got on the train and left, and he was like, "They're gone. I don't know what else to do." And that's supposedly he said, "I'm done." That's why he gave up. You also on this record pay tribute to Pete Seeger, which I was wondering. the two of you had different relationships and different interactions. What was he like for the two of you as a guy to hang out with, and then as a musician to play with?
Oh, as a musician to play with, he was, a tornado. You just hung on and survived.
He
He
was a,
was.
go ahead,
Go
Tom.
ahead, John.
He was a much better musician than people give him credit for. I mean, he did stuff on the banjo that had never been done and has not really been done since. He made it a true accompanying, a solo accompanying instrument. Hell, he added 3 frets at in the low end, for crying out loud. But he was a very shy guy. I mean, we even referenced that in the song. He was always thinking, always reading, always thinking, imagining how he could involve more people. You know, one interview that we did, people were asking us, old farts, how we sort of started using this new technology. And I remember having a conversation with Pete about his television show, Rainbow Quest, that was on the New York Public Access. And he said it was just a way to reach more people. So he was always imagining how to get people involved, how to get them exposed. I mean, his concerts were sing-alongs by and large. I mean, and nobody was doing that. I mean, for heaven's sakes.
Well, someone told me about seeing a concert that Pete gave in the park behind the New York Public Library during a lunch hour, and he said, "I'm going to take a brief intermission now, and I want any women here who can sight read music to meet me backstage." And about 6 or 7 women did. And Pete had got the one movement of a Beethoven, the 7th Symphony of Beethoven, and it's I think the Andante, the slow passage, da 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 da, da. And it had been done in 3 parts, and he gave the parts to the women, and they came back out and did it. And wouldn't have the sand to try something like that.
Yeah.
But he did. And it worked.
He also was a real mentor, I think, to both Tom and I.
Yes.
He understood. I mean, he started writing songs about being gone when he was in his 50s. Not knowing he had 40 more years that he was going to be going on. But he had this sense of, okay, I'm not going to be here forever, so I want to make sure that the people who are coming behind me are doing it right. And they're holding on to this sense that this is about more than you. It's always been about us. And I think back to the beginning of this country, and if we hadn't had people who were thinking in the way that Jefferson and Madison and Monroe were thinking, what will we be? And the same thing holds true for folk music. I mean, it could have been some kind of egomaniac who just wanted to make as much money and get as famous as possible. But he was anything but that. He did not go for glory. He was not afraid to fail. Where he did not find a path, he left a trail. That says everything about how we felt about him. We loved him, we revered him, and we miss him.
I also we didn't get any liner notes with the record. We just got the link. Can you talk about some of the folks who played on this record with you? Or do we just want to consign them to history? And
no, we had...
Actually, we made them agree that they would never play again.
Perfect. Excellent.
Well, we had Phil Collins on the drums and Paul McCartney on the bass.
Perfect.
We had Elton John on the piano and Itzhak Perlman on the violin.
Makes perfect sense.
You know, they all just heard about the project, said, McCutcheon and Paxton, sign us up. We'll do
I'm
it.
We're
in.
there.
Totally makes sense.
We are there.
It was so nice of you to give them the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor guys. They said, we'll even play for scale. No, it's the same crowd that worked on the first album.
Nice.
Steve Fiddick on drums and JT Brown on bass and John Carroll. JT and John I met them when they were in Mary Chapin Carpenter's band. And John was in her band until very, very recently. And it was me and them. And this was a pretty stripped down album. And then we had Steve Hinson on steel and the incredible Stuart Duncan. And so this is essentially, with the exception of Steve Hinson, this is the first time we've ever used a steel player. It's essentially my studio band. And they're all really incredible. They're flexible. They're creative. We don't hand them notes that we want them to play because they're better musicians than we are. And we like to have them, own the songs. And especially Stuart Duncan on the fiddle. I mean, he's one of those rare studio musicians that actually listens to the words. And listens to who else is playing, because we overdubbed him. I went down to Nashville and got him and recorded him, and it's just astonishing. We feel really lucky that this crew and the incredible engineer Bob Dawson, who makes us sound way better than we are.
How does he do that?
Drugs.
Button.
Well, he's my co-producer, and so he's in that. He's, I take care of getting the musicians and working on the arrangements, but just as important, because it is an album, it's a recording. You want to have someone who really listens to the words and listens to the other musicians and knows that he's an artist as well, and we treat him as one. And it's really a group effort. We couldn't possibly do it, just Tom and I.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice record. And like you said, Stuart, when he comes in on, I think just on The Future, it's just sort of like, oh, okay. There's just like a warm bath sort of feeling of like, well, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah. And especially, I remember the first time I ever worked with Stuart as an essential part of the band was probably 8 or 10 albums ago. And John.
So for you, that was like what, 3 weeks?
And John Carroll, the keyboard player, who's really kind of the band leader of these guys, said, "Oh, so what else are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to go to Nashville and put some fiddle on it." And he said, "Who do you got?" And I said, "Stuart Duncan." He said, "Whoa." And I said, "Yeah, you could do worse than Stuart Duncan." And he paused and said, "Everybody's worse than Stuart."
It's amazing. Well, I have one last question. Tom, there's been a lot of talk in the past year with the Bob Dylan film that came out last winter. Are you upset that they focused on the wrong part of the Newport 1965 festival and it was not your performance, is how the film ended?
Well, I wasn't actually there in 65.
You weren't? I thought you were.
No, I was there in 63, 64, and 66.
They picked the wrong
You
year.
picked the wrong year, yeah.
Yeah, I really resented missing that. Most of all, I resent missing the fist fight between Alan Lomax and come on, brain.
Was it Pete?
Al Grossman.
Oh.
None of the photographers there had the right lens. apparently. And so nobody got it. There was no record of it. I thought the movie was okay. My main resentment of the movie is that Phil Oakes played no part in it. I thought that was a really a big miss. There was a dynamic between Phil and Bob that I think may have been defining for each of them, or both of them. I was there all the time. I knew them all. I enjoyed their company. I liked Bob. I loved Phil. But I was marginal in all of that, so I didn't expect for a minute to be in that movie. But I thought Phil really belonged in it. And aside from that, I don't have much to say about it. It was, yeah, I don't think you can get it right.
I think that's
Yeah.
Well, I thought that Ed Norton Jr. did a
There you go.
superb job as Pete.
yes.
Yeah, I said to someone, look, I knew Pete Seeger. I knew him well, and that was Pete Seeger.
Yep.
That's so great.
And what were those, you said you're at 62, 63, and 64. What was the Newport like at that time? Because that was at I guess it's now the Tennis Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And George Wein and all of that. What was that? Because from the festival documentary, it looks amazing. Was it as amazing as it looks on film?
It was extremely exciting. It was a wonderful nod to the past and the future. We had a lot of old guys there who were just splendid. I mean, that was Mississippi John Hurt, we'd say. And that was we got John at the Gaslight a few weeks after Newport, but it was so much fun. And we got to watch Peter Yarrow do another sound check.
I survived.
We just said farewell to Peter a few weeks ago in New York.
Yeah.
And I introduced myself by saying I am a survivor of many Peter Yarrow sound checks. And there are a lot of sound engineers who did not survive Peter Yarrow. And let me hasten to add that I loved Peter very much.
Yeah.
He was a lovely man.
Again, thank you both for your time. This is really lovely, and the record is equally lovely. Are you? Is there going to be a third one? Not to get greedy, but
I think we'll just wait and see how the writing goes.
Well, we actually have enough great material for another one, but every week's a surprise. So I saw the future yesterday on a small
Together Again, the new album by John McCutcheon and Tom Paxton, is available this Friday, January 9th, wherever you get your music.
She was playing like the devil, she was singing like a bird, and it was just about the finest thing that I've ever heard. And I sat there and I hung on every note and every word. I saw the future yesterday on a small town Kansas stage.